What's up, people? This is the People's Podcast presented by the Wrestling Republic. It's your boy, Young Meech, aka Scooney Mac, aka Young Twiggy, aka we're here another day as we progress to the new year of 2023. And my co-host is...
It's the beast alive in the East, the one, the only John Wiley. What's going on?
Yes, sir. And we here for another podcast. And actually, we got a lot of rumors that we're going to get into. But before we get into the rumors, just to give y'all kind of like an outline of this show, we're going to talk about NXT Deadline, which was, to me, an amazing, dope show. I just like seeing wrestling at its purest form. But before we even get into talking about those matches, breaking those matches down, we got a few rumor reports. And starting today, this rumor, actually, this wasn't even a rumor, but basically something popped off today with the WWE. Mandy Rose was released by the WWE. Now, what they're saying, basically, it's because her posting content on her fan time page. What they're saying is kind of like it's a little too much that's outside of their WWE parameters, and I guess maybe in their contract they can't really do certain things like this. But tell me your thoughts on Mandy Rose being released, the NXT Women's Champion.
Personally, I feel like it's all ill-timed because I felt like this was all planned. You know what I'm saying? Like they were gonna fire her like that, Inspire on TV. We don't wait for a pay-per-view. We light the fire like right now. Then on top of that, I really don't like how, you know, like supposedly what is the content that was shown, it wasn't too out of the norm, especially what we know about the WWE and content we can find on the network, especially including a certain Vince McMahon and Trish Stratus back in 2000. But we're not going to go into that. I say they shouldn't have fired her. I would have suspended her, but I wouldn't have fired her. Hopefully they can bring her back sooner rather than later, because I feel like that's totally bogus. But you got to wait that 90 days.
Yeah, it's one of those things to me. Obviously, I don't know what's in the contract, but it wasn't like she was trying to hide it. Like you literally can go on Mandy Rose's Instagram page, and that's the link she got in her bio. It's her fan time page. So
you gotta drop $30 just to get in.
You gotta drop those $30. She just trying to make some extra money. That's all she trying to do.
You can get me to pay $30, let alone $8.
My thing is, like, ultimately, I feel like eventually she's going to be brought back soon. Maybe since it's part of the WWE's contract, I haven't seen their contract, but since it's a part of it, maybe they're just using her as an example. Like, you could be the champion. However, I don't think they would do this to Roman Reigns or something like that. But, like, you can be even the NXT Women's Champion, and you can't go against the contract. So
it's so weird because, like, when you speak about Roman Reigns like that, Roman got popped for PEDs, and while he was champion, he got suspended for 30 days right before pay-per-view.
Oh, so shoot, they ain't holding back on nobody. Like when you actually see, but it's interesting because eventually I feel like WWE is going to probably end up moving away from how strict they are with you kind of creating content on your own, because you think back to like AJ Styles, you think back to Paige, you think back to those two and like making them kind of like shut down their Twitch pages. To me, especially when you have a guy like a Logan Paul who comes from the social media world, and the reason why you bring him into the WWE is because you want him to bring that audience to the WWE. It's kind of hard for me to think that they're going to continue to like, go against their WWE superstars from having their own like ways of making money outside of the WWE, especially through like streaming, content and stuff like that, or even like a OnlyFans or something. So I feel like Mandy Rose is gonna be back soon. Like she was killing it in NXT. She was actually just supposed to face what was the name of the one that won the women's survivors match? I'm trying to think. Let me see. Oh, Roxanne Perez. She was supposed to face her. So,
yeah. I believe that match happened yesterday.
Yep, at NXT Deadline. So, you said it already happened?
Yeah, and Roxanne is the champion.
She's the champion? Oh, what?
You didn't see how Booker T was holding her hand up on Twitter?
Nah.
Like a proud dad? By the way, Booker T trained her, by the way. He was her first trainer.
Wow. Wait. So former NXT champion. So wait a second. Oh, this is bad for Mandy Rose. Then I didn't know this is kind of bad. This is kind of a bad couple of
Like I
days.
said, this feels like a whole setup. Like they planned this out.
That gives me a totally different point of view now. Like, dang, you lose the NXT Women's Championship, and then you lose your job. Oh, this is a rough couple of
400
days.
in like what 16-day run.
Man,
They were quick to replace her off the champion screen. They'll have like her, Braun, and like one other guy. I forgot his name, and they were quick to replace her.
dang, I didn't even know that match already happened. Dang, that match happened quick. I thought that was gonna be like at the next NXT pay-per-view or something like that.
No, they like I said, it feels planned. It feels so planned it hurts. You know what it could have been? She was probably making way more money on that Only Times thing than she was at WWE.
And then that would make more sense for her to do it. To have her little fan time page or like an OnlyFans page just to continue to make money. People trying to make money out here in these streets. So I can't be, I'm not mad at her, but you gotta know. I mean, if it's in your contract, that's rough. Dang, that's a rough couple of days.
Switch it up. Because like I said, man, she got to wait 90 days before they can even do anything with her, or if they even want her back. And I hate for me to wake up one day and she's on AEW because only for AEW not to use it. Because that's my biggest issue with AEW. Anytime someone gets released, they go there. It's like they never appeared, Rog. It's like they just disappeared. Because when was the last time you heard from Rusev?
Dang, I forgot about Rusev. You just
exactly.
Brought up
that is the biggest issue with AEW. Dog. They get all this ex WWE talent, but you forget they're there.
Dang.
What is the point? The only people you remember are there is Jericho, because I think Jericho got the ego issue and he just wants to be in the spotlight at all times. But it is what it is. Anyways, so we're talking about Mandy, though. And I would rather Mandy just wait these 90 days out, come back, because they're just going to throw in Toxic Attraction and move it up to the main roster.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to bring her back real quick. Like, to me, you don't have her have that long of a title reign. And then she was just great. Like, her promo skills got way better. Obviously, she was better in ring as well. Like, you don't become that long. You don't hold the women's NXT championship that long to just like, they just get rid of you and don't even think about you ever again. Like, they going to bring her back. But this is a rough couple of days. I feel bad for Mandy Rose.
I feel bad for her too, man. I feel like I said, I wouldn't have fired her. I probably would have suspended her and talked to her about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a little rough.
Then again, though, 30 is a lot of dollars. God dang. And she probably got like what 2,000 people. Because it was 2,000. What's 2,000 times 30?
2,000 times 30. Oh, dude, what is that? 60,000?
I think that might be. Hold on, let me bust out the calculator real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't got that on me, but I'm pretty sure I do have a college degree. It wasn't in math. It was definitely in film, but I think that's about 60,000.
Yeah, that's about 60,000 right there. That's a month. That ain't a year subscription. That's a month.
Yeah, 60,000 in a month.
That's probably because that sounds like a rough estimate. She has like, say for instance, 2,000 people following her like that. Because she, right? Man. And let's say for instance, this 1,000. That's 30,000 a month. They
probably told her to delete it, and she was like, "Nope, release me." She was like, "Forget
that.
My
own contract, god dang it! Y'all ain't paying me that much.
Get me out of here, man. Y'all not paying me that
like
much."
Like the military, buy your own contract. You out,
man.
I mean, hey, if anything, hey, if that's the case and that's what you're gonna fire, hey, might as well go be a model. They'll pay you way more anyway.
Do your thing, Mandy Rose.
Exactly.
Let us move on to another. Actually, I want to go into a rumor here.
What's up?
There's a rumor going around that in the year of 2023, now this is just a rumor, but in the year of 2023, which we only got like 2 or 3 weeks away, they're saying Vince McMahon could be coming back to the WWE.
So there's this clip of The Rock, right, where he tells Vince to get closer, come a little closer as he's sitting outside the limousine, and slaps the shit out of him and bashes off. That's what they need to do to Vince when he gets next to the door. Or a matter of fact, just like how they did Jamal Williams when he was trying to get back into the Jets facility. He types in the code, can't get in the door. Don't let that man back in. Wrestling finally got very interesting very quickly.
It's Vince McMahon, though. How can you turn down the man that brought the WWE to what it is even to this day? Like, it's Vince.
Hey, man, Vince McMahon is the reason why we got the dreaded roll-up pin. Vince McMahon is the reason why we got so many bad booking decisions. Vince McMahon is also one of the greatest things about TV and one of the worst things about TV. Let's keep it a buck. Vince McMahon is the reason why the Nexus got squashed. Let's not forget his past sins. We're not sweeping that under the rug.
If you can bring up all those reasons why Vince is that guy, but you can also bring up the same reasons of freaking Vince McMahon is the reason why WrestleMania is what WrestleMania is. Vince McMahon is the reason why we even watched the WWE. He signed all these great legends. Undertaker, The Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, we can go down the list. All these different, Vince made WWE to what it is today. So I'm like,
and he also fired a lot of those legends, or let them go.
They really need to make a Vince McMahon documentary. Like, they need to make that. Vince has a story.
It's gonna be wild. I would rather it be like an honest telling of Vince. Like Vince is like, you know what? Before everybody else throws me under the bus, I'll throw myself under the bus. I'll tell you exactly what happened.
You know how much has happened in the WWE? Like back
steroid scandal, the Montreal screw job, thou who shall not be named. What's it called? The events surrounding the time he killed himself in the car accident.
But even like the serious stuff though too, like you will want to hear Vince kind of talk about like R.I.P. Owen Hart passing away. Like he'll have to address that in the documentary to me.
I would like him to address Eugene.
Address what else? You got to talk about Eddie Guerrero. You got to talk about all these legends from his perspective, because like at the end of the day, he helped all these wrestlers become who we respect and as being Hall of Famers and legends. And Vince had a big part in their creative direction, and just hearing the different stories from him and how much he actually knew these people is like, yeah, they need to produce that documentary before Vince gets a little too old. Produce that documentary now.
Sure, man. I would like to know, because Vince, I believe, is an insomniac. He can only sleep for like 3 hours a day, so he'd be like either in the gym or doing other stuff, or if not, thinking about writing storylines. So I'd really like to know what is Vince like when his guard is up like this at all times. I want to know what is that like for him, because that guard don't come down until he's near his grandkids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm very curious about that, man. Very curious.
And then also kind of learning about Shane McMahon and Stephanie. They're like growing up in the business. It's just that would probably be a 5-star documentary. It'd be Netflix got to do that. Netflix got to do that.
You can get a glimpse into it, because Stephanie does have an interview with Chris Jericho. And Shane has an interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Gotcha. Yeah. So they definitely got to do that. Shoot, I would want to do that. But let us move on. We got something else that actually happened that's also going to pop off in the year of 2023. William Regal is leaving, obviously, AEW, and now he's about to have a vice president position within the WWE that he starts the first week of January 2023. What do you think of William Regal being brought back to the WWE?
He should have never left in the first place, but Vince McMahon was not making the right decisions. Another reason why we should keep him out the goddamn wrestling business. But keep it a buck, though. What I will say is this: when it comes to William Regal, I think it's a great idea. Really, from more of a backstage point of view, because I really pay attention to what a lot of wrestlers say backstage because I'm very curious about what goes on back there. And from what I've heard from wrestlers like Mae Yim and Apollo Crews, et cetera, these people all have very nice and glowing things to say about William Ringle, Shawn Michaels, and even Triple, where they care about you. And William Ringle being like a guy, an arm to cry on when you need him most. And I think having him back there and being that guy to actually care about you, I think is special. You know what I'm saying? So him being vice president, I think would be a great move too, because he really does understand the wrestling business, especially from his podcast if you listen to him.
I gotta tune into some William Ringle podcast. I didn't even know he had a podcast. Like,
Oh yeah.
what?
His podcast is not bad. I think it's called The Gentleman Villain. But he'll just tell it's similar to like Kurt Angle and Jim Ross when they talk about on their podcast, he just explains stuff or he'll talk about what's going on now. Because he talked about his what happened between him and NXT, and he also talked about AEW versus NXT. He was talking about it, man. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a good decision. William Ringo is like a wrestler and encyclopedia. Like he knows the business inside and out, and I didn't think he should have ever even left, or they should have released him. But of course, they was doing cutbacks at that time. So, and now that Triple H is in charge, he didn't brought back a lot of those people, or he's bringing those people back. Like I remember when they released Kurt Angle, and then Kurt Angle keeps coming back for different appearances now. William Regal's back. He didn't brought back Braun Strowman. Like Triple H is okay. He knows what he's doing. But the question is, as this is another rumor, where is Sasha Banks going though?
Japan.
Ooh.
Nippon. Japan, the land of the rising sun. Japan. That place where they got a Gundam staring at you when you're trying to compete. Yeah. I watched the Olympics. But yeah, I think that's best because no, it's because when I was like looking up her documentary, like not a documentary, but like her talking about her road to the WWE. Yeah, she spent some time out in Japan already. It makes sense for her to want to go back. And on top of that, she's kind of into Japanese culture, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You can see it in her wrestling attire, but you know, her going to Japan, I think would be the best move for her. And I think they really would appreciate her. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that sounds all good, but Sasha Banks need to bring herself back to the WWE. Ain't nobody trying to play games with you, watch you in freaking Japan. That's cool and all. Reach for your dreams. I support your dreams. You better not end up in AEW though. That's one thing I will not support. And I'm the biggest Sasha Banks fan. I would not, if she ended up in freaking AEW, Lord have mercy, how disappointing that would be for me.
Like imagine she like goes under her new moniker, Monet. It goes to AEW where she's making less money.
Man, her going to Japan, I mean, obviously if that's what she wants to do, that's cool and all. But like, what do you mean, like actually going though and really under contract though as well? Like, or like how does that even, I don't know how that even fully works, but all I know is she need to bring herself back to the WWE. Triple H is in charge. He took care of you. He looked like he took care of you, especially in your NXT days. He's the man now in charge, and I'm pretty sure Triple H is gonna do right by you. So just got to give him that chance.
I mean, the same could be said for Vince because you know when Vince said she took. I mean, according from her perspective, especially on Twitter, she'd be like saying that yeah, Vince took care of me. We, you know, because remember that time where she left the company, quote unquote. Yeah. Had a big issue, then her and Vince had to sit down, and then all of a sudden it was cool again.
Yeah.
So hey, man, maybe she's just really tired of the WWE system, and she wants to do something else. Because for all we know, she wants to stream, and on top of that, what if she wants to do? Hardcore matches like Athena, getting hit by chairs and bleeding.
Man, that's cool and all, but I guess maybe some people like recently I was listening to like the audiobook that John Moxley put out, and ultimately some people just they feel like they have more creative freedom and they feel like they can just be, they could just wrestle and do whatever type of matches they want when they leave the WWE. And that's kind of like ultimately how Jon Moxley felt. So if Sasha Banks feels that way too, then it is what it is. But, we want to see her back. I want to see her back in the WWE because there's still more moments that she can create. I feel like she haven't even really had a real title reign still, besides her NXT days, like on the main roster though.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I feel like people kind of throw a lot of COVID wrestling under the bus because I do feel like we got a lot more interesting wrestling. Because when she was champion during the COVID era, I really liked that little time of wrestling, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait. I don't think she was champion. I believe Bailey was champion. But the bottom line is, I really like that little time in wrestling with her, and I feel like the WWE should make more of a stance on trying to get her back. But if she's dead set on going to Japan, then hey, let it be.
If that's what you want to do, then it is what it is. Long as you don't go to AEW, that's my main thing. Don't go to AEW. When you're ready to come back home to the WWE, do that. We trying to see more. I still got to see the freaking Sasha Banks versus. We got to see the Sasha Banks versus Trish Stratus match, man.
There are some deviants out there that want to see Jade Cargill versus Sasha Banks immediately. Even though I think this will be a wrestling catastrophe because I believe Sasha could wrestle rings around Jade, but
that's an interesting one to me. Like Jade and Sasha, like obviously I would want to see it, but like just looking at both of them, Jade looked like she should win, just how big she is. But Sasha is a better wrestler and she's great. So it's Sasha Banks. So
and potentially has more star power. She has technically the star power to just walk in and take the belt off her.
That would be interesting. I would like to see it, but I would like to see it in WWE. I don't want to see it in AEW.
So let's get Jade to WWE as well. Yes, sir.
Get Jade to WWE and MJF. They both need to be on a bigger platform.
You can't bring MJF, man. You remember that last that video I sent you of MJF? I want that MJF, man. We can't have the one that can't be cussing, man. We can't censor every MJF, man. We can't do that.
I wonder, but I feel like MJF has that ability. I feel like put him in the WWE, he'd be like nowadays version of like Ric Flair, in my opinion. Like nowadays, like of course he can't cuss as much, or he wouldn't be able to cuss. I don't know. Maybe WWE can try to make somewhat of an exception on certain words, but like put him in the WWE format, I feel like he'll be like a nowadays Ric Flair, like a today's version of Ric Flair.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, I definitely want to see Jade, because Jade in the WWE, you know how many matchups? Now I want to see her versus like Ronda Rousey. Dang it, everybody. Put her against everybody.
I got some brothers out there that just say dream match, make it happen at Mania. Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. I'm just like, damn, dog. This brother is thirsty out here. He needs some water.
Make it happen, man. For her versus Rhea Ripley, her versus freaking Becky Lynch. Just put her against everybody. It's like those is matchups I want to see. I want to see all of those matchups. So yeah, she need to make her way to the WWE as soon as possible. But let us move on. Let us break down NXT Deadline, and we're gonna break it down match by match. But first thing I gotta say before we do this, the commentary by Booker T and that show. At first, I ain't gonna lie. At first, listening to Booker T, I was just like, this. I don't know if Booker T's supposed to be commentating NXT like this, but as the show went on, especially when you get to the New Day match, I was like, this guy Booker T is actually pretty entertaining. This dude is pretty hilarious. But Like some of those stuff he was saying, the quotes, I was like, dang, Booker T is different. He is different on the commentary.
Hey, remember, Corey Graves got him fired for no reason.
Man, what? What happened?
Because I forgot what Corey did to get Booker T fired, but he's kind of Booker T does not like Corey Graves, dog. Not at all. But I will say it was because of his commentary. But hey, that's how we got lines like "shucky ducky quack quack."
He said, what did he say? He said, at one point in time, he said, I think what I'm trying to remember was so many different stuff. He had said like come across the pond. It's just no. He was talking. No, Booker T was just saying a whole lot. He was just saying a whole lot in that and throughout that whole like. Sometimes he was overly talking though. I was like, dang, Booker ain't stopped talking. Especially that women's survivors match. Like he was just going on.
You got to listen to him talk to Stone Cold Steve Austin. You can't understand a thing he's saying. But you can tell he can go on for days talking.
And I got nothing but love for Booker T. He started entertaining me though. I was like, this dude Booker T is actually pretty good.
After the podcast, I got a Booker T story for you.
Gotcha. So let us start off with the women's survivors match. Tell me your thoughts on that one.
Hey, I'm a fan of some of these new wrestlers now. I am a fan. Because some of these women, I was like, you know what? I see the potential. I see why they're on NXT because they get a little better, man. Shoot, this might be the next group. And I will say this though, when it comes to like the women's match though, I do feel like I wish it was a little bit more organized, but I don't have a lot of complaints. I wish I had my note sheet up actually, so I can tell you more about it. But I will say, I believe her name was Stark.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about, yeah.
That was the chick. To me, she was the highlight. I was like, dang, this is actually a strong competitor. And I would like to see more of her. And I do think the match itself, I think it was a little wild just to see somebody get like locked up, right, for 2.5 minutes, then come back refreshed after everybody then got a turn beating on them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like also remember, like I think Roseanne, the woman who won the belt match, everybody was getting a piece of her. And I'm like, God dang, how are you still in this match? So I feel personally like, you know, I would deadline. That's like one of the issues of that kind of like, you know, Iron Survivor match. Other than that, though, I thought it was pretty good. I think I'll give it like a give it like an 85. I was entertained.
What about out of 5 stars? What would you give it?
We'll give it like a 4, if not a 3.5.
4 out of 3.5. I agree with you. My thing is, I'm still like learning all of these new NXT wrestlers' names, especially as I start to dive back into really watching NXT again. So I don't know all of their names, like all of the NXT women wrestlers. But the funny thing is, the fact that Roxanne Perez won that match, and the first thing I put in my notes, I was just like, she stands out to me. For some reason, like I waited till everybody got involved in the match. And then that's when I was like, for some reason, Roxanne Perez stands out to me. Even though to me at that time, it didn't look like she was going to win because like she didn't have any pins or anything like that. I was just like, but the fact that she won, I was like, that makes sense. Like she just looked like she has a bit. She just has something. Like something's there. The other thing that stood out to me though is the fact that NXT wrestling, especially in my case, when I stopped watching it for a little bit, when NXT went through that transition to NXT 2.0, that's when I really stopped watching. But the fact that I really, started watching again, especially with NXT Deadline, I was like, dang, the wrestling, not only from the women, every match on there was great. But especially like even the women's survivors match, I was just like, dang, I may not know who these wrestlers is. I don't know if they got charisma yet. I haven't seen most of them talk on the mic just yet. I got to do more of my research. But like, if we're just talking pure wrestling, every one of them could wrestle. And it's just like entertaining. And they make wrestling just entertaining again, just from watching matches. And I was like, dang.
Yeah.
they on a different level, just wrestling wise. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, I was like I said, I was entertained and kind of like you. I'm doing my research on these wrestlers because a lot of these people I do not know. I don't know who they are, but they have my attention. So I will be watching the next episode of NXT.
Definitely.
Side note, we all know Roxanne is Booker T's student, but so far that's like 4 of Booker T's students to go to go to a main program like AEW or WWE. Crazy.
Shoot, I may need to, after this year, I may need to go down there and train with Booker.
I hope
Booker
you
got
like Texas.
he got a great he just has a direct contact with the WWE. So like if he sees you and he sees that you're good enough, he literally and he works still with the WWE. So all he got to do is just hit them up and be like, bring them in for a tryout. So,
oh man, you know what you just reminded me?
what?
Booker T has a podcast and like a little and a wrestling network he runs. And the WWE doesn't have an issue with that.
Oh yeah, they can't. I mean, what you gonna tell Booker T, the Hall of Famer? Like at this point in time, they're asking him to do commentating. Booker T is probably not like, can I have a job? Like, nah. Booker T's like, I didn't put my work in. Y'all probably gonna want me to do something. So, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. I feel like WWE, like ultimately, they're gonna end up changing some of their policies. But let us move on to the next match. Now I did write their names, but if I mispronounce them, it is what it is, y'all. Don't take offense. Alba Fire and it was like, was it Elon or I don't know.
Isla Dawn.
Wait, say that again.
Yes, I believe it's Isla Dawn.
Isla Dawn or I was like Isla Dawn or Isla Dawn or something like that. But let me start off with this one. Alba Fire to me reminds me of Lita. Instantly, when I was watching that match, I was just like, dang. Just like I could tell some of her she was a fan of Lita basically, and that she gets a
Sting.
Like
she's like a fan of I believe like what, Sting?
A fan of Sting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wait, my bad. I think I got you. I think I got it confused, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, but Alba Fire, the one with like basically the kind of like the red hair texture, not the one that was like acting like she was possessed by a demon, like the one, not the one that won the match, the other one that lost. She reminds me of Lita. But even in that match, I'm like, I don't know anything about the storyline. Like I haven't kept up with the storyline, but just watching the match itself, I was like, dang, the women's division in NXT, they're all talented. They're all great wrestlers. And, as long as they continue to build up their, personality, their charisma, and then if they're taken well care of when they transition to the main roster, every one of them could actually wrestle. So I was just like, man, that match to me was dope too. It was the ending, I didn't have a problem with the ending. Like the referee, he ended up spitting out some I don't even know what that was, but you basically
and we call that overbooking, but I wasn't against it because I just now understand what it's like. It's like we're trying to add like a supernatural character. I say run it.
I feel like WWE needs more supernatural characters a little bit right now, especially, I mean, I grew up an Undertaker and Kane and freaking Paul Bearer fan, so I don't think WWE has enough of that right now, especially because I don't even know what Bray Wyatt's doing. Like,
he just shows up and talks. Has he even had a match yet?
I don't even think
Cuz
so.
must be super out of shape or something. Like, what are we doing?
Or they trying to figure out what they want to really do with him still. Like, I don't know. But I feel like, especially when it comes to women, having a woman character that plays that role too, that's like being possessed and all that, I think it can make some interesting storytelling. So I thought that match was pretty dope.
To me, I think that was like the weakest match on the card, but I was still entertained by watching it though. So I gave it like a C plus. You know what I'm saying?
C plus. Okay. Now this next match, I was surprised by this because I was just like, what are the New Day doing in NXT? I was so confused. But watching the match itself with what is it, New Day versus Pretty Deadly, I was like, dang, this match is fire. Like I like the storytelling, even the comedic relief in the match that they had at different times. And then it kind of helped showcase Pretty Deadly as a tag team that they're pretty dope. They're pretty
Oh yeah,
dope.
they're pretty good as a tag team. I'm just surprised you greenlit the twerking. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not agreeing, but I just thought they had the comedic relief, the comedic relief that I thought was pretty good though. Like, at one point in the match, they're like throwing the title around to each other to try to like trick the ref.
The Guerrero spot.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, dang, and it just flowed. It just flowed along with the entire match. But I was just surprised that NXT. I mean, I'm surprised that New Day was in NXT, and now that they're the new NXT champions. So I'm like, tell me your thoughts on that one. What's going on with that?
So keep it a buck with you. This is like the 5th New Day match I've ever seen. As long as we've done this podcast, I don't remember New Day matches that well. So this is the 5th one I remember that doesn't involve the Usos. And I like this match actually. I was watching this match with a friend. He wasn't like he was at first like really like lukewarm to it, but he really like the more the match got on, me and him were really getting into it. And I like the match too. I like 2 other guys that they were working with. At first, I wasn't too on board with it, but then the more that Pretty Deadly kept working, I'm like, this is tag team wrestling. Let's go. They started working on each other. And that's what I like about tag team wrestling, dog. That's what I really do like about it, man. I think the only thing about it that I did not like though, there was like a segment where Kofi Kingston was just gone for the match. He was like on the ground outside. And Austin Creed was just getting worked on. And I was just like, what was going on here? Where's Kofi Kingston? He was WWE champion. Why is he not like getting back in the ring and being the main guy? But it worked out in the end.
One thing I want to say too about Pretty Deadly, just like based on their costume and just the way their like characters are, the way their character is established. Like, I don't know why it made me think of this, but I was like, what if when they get moved up to the main roster and they had to be put around someone, to kind of help show them the ropes, to help put them over a little bit, kind of like Randy Orton did with Matt Riddle. I was like, it would be interesting to see Pretty Deadly somehow they end up forming a faction with Seth Rollins. Just because I think it will be interesting to see, just with how the costumes they all wearing some crazy costumes right now. That's the first thing that stood out to me when they came on the entrance. I was like, what type of shirts they got on? But I was like, just a couple weeks ago, Seth Rollins was wearing dang near the same thing. So I was like, well, it would be interesting to see them team up in a faction with Seth Rollins, though.
I like that idea because then we can go to a deeper descent into Seth's madness.
Yeah. And then Seth actually have another group that he can help put on, and then he has a group to help him win some of his matches, since technically Seth Rollins is a heel, but he just doesn't get really booed at all no more. So it's like,
no, not really.
He doesn't get booed at all. So it's like, it is what it is. Like, Seth Rollins is just over. That's what it is. You're just over at this point.
Yeah, as some people will call him, wrestling Jesus.
I think Booker T at one point in that match, I don't know why I got this in my notes, but he said somebody, he's like, he left a skid mark on that boy. And I was just like, I had to put that in the quote, because I was like, I ain't heard nobody say that before on commentary. I was like, what? Booker T is different. But then when he said that, I was like, know what? Booker T is needed at commentary. It's just, it's different. I
didn't even pick that up. Oh my God, I'm about to watch that match again.
I think even at one point in time, Booker T said he was like, you big enough to pass a lick, you big enough to take one. He was like, my mama used to tell me that. I was like, Booker T, how is you adding this into these matches right now while you commentating?
What is he doing?
But I was like, this is actually entertaining just to listen to this dude though. I was like, this dude funny. But shout out to Booker T. But let us move on to what the next match was. Was it the men's Iron Survivor match? Now tell me your thoughts on that one.
This was the match of the night. This is to me almost what I would dare I say a 5-star match, because I was entertained from front to back, and I was able to follow the action because I know it was really fast paced for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna keep it a buck. Almost every single guy in that ring got me interested to watching NXT again. From Duggan, the guy with the head that's too big for his body, to guys like I forgot the big dude's name that was like flipping around. I was like, what? To Axiom.
Gacy. I was like, he reminds me of Kevin Owens.
Yeah, Gacy. Yeah. From guys like him to Carmelo Hayes, a guy who I actually am learning more about, because that wrestler is dope. That wrestler's so dope, man. But to get back on track though, nah, man, I like it. I like what was going on in that match, because the only thing I gotta ask though is, who did Duggan make so mad at the office? Because everybody got a piece of him. Everybody, because he was the only guy to not get a pin that entire match. And every guy who just got up and was like, let's get this dude out of here.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie though, when I was watching that match, I thought Hayes was gonna win that.
Me too. Like, I was actually, because once again, going into this, not really knowing too much about any of these wrestlers, and just kind of like just watching it and not really knowing the storylines or anything like that, like Carmelo Hayes instantly stands out to you. Like, this dude is obviously gonna be like a next big superstar. Like, Booker T was even speaking up on him. Booker T was like, oh, he has a Hall of Fame career like ahead of him. He just looked like he has charisma, and then he's just a dope wrestler, and then he has the look as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Carmelo Hayes is going to be moved up to the main roster at some, I don't know when, but at some point they just gotta book him right. They gotta book him right.
I hope they don't move him out to the main, because I feel like it's going to be the Adam Cole situation where, well, then again, here's the thing. Like, let's set this up, right? Say, for instance, Vince returns in 2023 and he's in control again, right? We're going to put this in perspective. He's going to treat Carmelo Hayes like he treated Adam Cole. He wants him to change his name, change his gimmick, and he's going to be like, well, he's too small, make him a manager.
I can't believe that really happened with Adam Cole. Like, I can't believe it.
It happened to the cuz that's on the Brawling Brutes. I forgot his name, dude, who was the stepdaddy hat.
The Brawling Brutes. I know who you're talking about, but I can't even think.
Smaller one. Remember with the long hair?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about, but I can't.
It hurts me because he was like the champion of NXT UK for like the longest.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne. There we go. So, anyways, though, like I said, like, it's like I wouldn't want Vince to get a hold of that, because Carmelo Hayes is Shawn Michaels' project. And I could see, because his wrestling execution is immaculate. His wrestling style is unique. This dude is cool. I really like him. In fact, I went on to go watch his match versus Ricochet. We should do a reaction to that, by the way. And I'm thinking, man, this guy is him. He's next. But I fear when he goes up to that main roster, they're going to be like, well, he's too small. He's too short. He's not big enough. He's not the size of Roman or Braun Strowman. I'm like, please, man, take care of this man, please. Because he's special, dog. He's special.
Yeah, Carmelo Hayes to me is a superstar. They just got to book him right and just surround him around the right people. But Carmelo Hayes is instantly going to be this next guy in line. But like, everybody in that match stood out to me though. Like Axiom, Gacy, like you're saying, like he literally reminds me of Kevin Owens. Like another version of Kevin Owens in a sense.
Like my friend said, yo, he's too damn big to be flipping like that.
I don't even know how is he able to do that, but he was like everybody was dope in that match. Was it McDonough? McDonough, the one that didn't receive any pinfalls at all. Like the way he was selling, he was getting beat down by everybody in that match. Like, but
I was surprised when Axiom was getting on him in the corner. I was like, oh my God, when they got put in the penalty box.
yeah, but he stood out to me, and I was just like, even though he didn't receive any pinfalls, he had big moments in that match that just stood out, even if it just was him selling. Just his selling alone, he was getting beat down, but he seems great. So, I forgot the name of the guy that won the match. Dang, I forgot his name, but
terrible.
Did that match happen already between him and Braun Breaker?
I don't believe so. Not yet.
He was, I mean, he was cool too, but like I literally thought Carmelo Hayes was supposed to win that match or should have won that match. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Maybe because Braun Breaker is babyface and you don't want to put Carmelo Hayes against him just yet. Maybe they're waiting for a little bit later down the line. But yeah, that match was a 5-star match though to me. That match was just, and it was super fast paced. I was just like, dang, how are they moving so fast?
Well, to be fair, they did it in a way to where, all right, you get 2 minutes, take a break. You get 2 minutes. 3 of y'all got these next 2 minutes. Cool. I'm gonna sit out here in the penalty box or chill outside in the ring. And that's how everybody kind of got their thing in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I understand for some wrestling fans it's like a little too chaotic, but hey, man, this is the kind of matches AEW should be putting on, but just not doing it.
Yeah. I got his name though, Grayson Waller, the one that won the match. Grayson Waller seems interesting too. Like one of the spots that stood out to me is when he ended up calling out Booker T at one point, and then Booker T was just like, I can't believe he just said that. Like at some point in that match, I was just like, he seems pretty cool too. I haven't listened to him like speak on the mic, but he seemed like he probably has some charisma. Yeah. That whole match was just fire. That was just a 5-star match completely.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch back a couple of NXT episodes because I want to know what did McDonough do to make these people that mad. Like, oh my God, everybody just wanted to make a point to get at guys.
Man,
oh man.
And let us go to. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when it comes to not Ricochet, excuse me, Carmelo Hayes. One thing I do want to add on to it though is this dude had the right move because he was he didn't want to go to AEW, he wanted to go to WWE. And the biggest thing about it was when he got there, he was gonna get sent to 205 Live. He didn't want to be there. He said he would rather work his way up to NXT, and he made it happen. He's working with Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels seems to love this guy. Now, I can see why. And the one thing that I think I like about him most is that it's rare that we get a black wrestler that you can see that's either allowed to A, be himself, or B, be a character that people like that isn't too, I would like to say either A, corny, or B, too stereotypical. He's not like a crime time character. He's not goofy like the New Day. You can see he's actually being cool and he's being himself. You can see he could be himself. Or not just being like more like a regular guy that you would see. And I think that makes him really more special.
He looked like he comes from the tree of like The Rock. Like in terms of like, even though The Rock may had nothing to do with his training or anything like that, but just like The Rock was so great that it didn't matter. Like you didn't even think about The Rock being black unless you really focused on that. Like everybody loves The Rock. No matter your ethnicity, culture, everybody loves The Rock. And in the same way, he seems like he kind of goes down that same line of like, he doesn't have to be a stereotypical character. He's just Carmelo Hayes. who happens to be black, but he's just great. Like he's just great. Just like so, and that's kind of like when I think of like The Rock, I think of The Rock in that same way that it's like he's just The Rock. He's just great. Everybody think he's great. Um, you don't be like, oh, that's the greatest black wrestler or something like that. You just like that's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. So,
I agree with you.
and he looks like he kind of goes down that same path. But let us talk about the last match. Apollo Crews versus Braun Breaker for the NXT championship.
Personally, I feel like this match should have went on second, but the way it ends, you understand why it has to go on last. But I will say this though, I did like the match because I'm a big fan of seeing big strong men going at it with each other. Pause. And I am very entertained by what I saw because it was one of those matches of who's gonna be the better man. My only issue with the match is that it felt like Braun was just getting beat on the entire match, only to just come back at the last second, like he popped Game Breaker or something.
My thing, what I would say, I mean, my question just comes down to this. Like, I thought it was a cool match, but I'm like, where does Apollo Crews go from here? Because you get moved down to the NXT roster again. You lose to the champion. What is next for Apollo Crews? Like, to me, it was a good match. But I mean, I don't know if it does anything good for Apollo Crews. Like, you was on the main roster. You was on NXT at one point. Then you go to the main roster. Then we know the trials of that, like how that went, just with character development and all that, all those issues. But then you go back to NXT. You seem like you kind of get that edge back, but you lose. So I'm like, I don't know what's next for Apollo Crews. Like, where do you go from here?
It's easy, bro. It's very easy. Either let him go to tag teams or let him keep being a singles competitor to go after other belts. Or we can bring him back to the main roster and stick him into another one of these factions. I don't know if you've noticed about the main roster, but the main roster is very faction heavy, and we got guys in groups. We got Hit Row. We got Selena Vega and her group of people. Then you also got AJ Styles and his people. So it's really like going to the main roster. You can definitely bring some guys back and work with them. So I feel like the world's his oyster at the current moment, and it all depends about what creative might have for him.
Yeah, they I don't know. It's a little tough for me though. Like, though Braun Breaker is being built up to be like obviously a superstar when he comes up to the main roster, but I still think of him as an NXT wrestler. So I'm like, and when I think of an NXT wrestler, even though they all great, they're all on the come up. So I'm like, for Apollo Crews to lose to him, though he's already made it to the main roster, is a little rough for me. I'm like, though it looked like he got his edge back, he lost, and it was a clean loss. So I'm like, man, they got to do something with his character still. I feel like I've been saying that for years now. They got to figure it out.
Give the guy. That's the better question. We're probably gonna have to make a whole podcast topic about how do we make Apollo Crews work? Because honestly, my most enjoyable time was when he was with Lucha House Party because he was keeping up with them. I was like, yes. Yeah. If anything, I wish Lucha Underground still think I sent him there.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what you do with him at this point. Like, he's a great wrestler. He's always been a great wrestler. That's every time we talk about him, we're all like, he's a great in-ring wrestler. It's just like the character. It's just always been the character.
Supposedly, Edge has been working with them on getting his promo skills up. They do like a FaceTime one, like either once a week or once every other day. That's how it was. So that's the case. Hey, man, I will definitely watch NXT to understand how has his character gotten better or worse.
Gotcha. Well, we didn't went through all the topics. Actually, we probably got enough to do like a quick segment to end this off. Tell me your most surprising moment of this year.
Oh, Lord. Vince McMahon finally retiring. That is like literally going to be the moment of the year for me. That is the moment of the year due to the fact of You didn't. You expected him to take the ship down with him. I was thinking he was gonna be in charge of WWE until he just rollovers and dies, and I was expecting it to actually happen in the middle of a promo. Like, but instead, it was really just for a series of unfortunate events, and now Triple's in charge. Just like what? Because we've seen Vince McMahon just bulletproof for forever. Like nothing could stop this man. So, oh man, I'm still surprised. And hey, man, I kind of want him to stay gone, please. But that is my most surprising moment of the year.
Dang, I don't know if I could beat that one. I think that is literally the most surprising moment for everybody, probably.
Yeah.
If I don't use that one, then maybe I got two. If I don't use that one, then first off, it was very surprising to me to see, even though with all the rumors, they're confirming it, just to see Cody Rhodes to come back to the WWE, that was just still shocking to me. Like, what? The guy he had a big position with AEW. He wasn't just a wrestler. And then for him to come back and then, obviously he faces Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and then how they did that was just dope. It's just still was shocking to me. So that's probably one. And then my second one would be Logan Paul. Logan Paul's in-ring ability. Like, I didn't expect Logan Paul to be this good this quickly. Hey, like, what?
Mania, SummerSlam, Crown Jewel. Dude has been catching us off guard every single time.
Yeah.
And will he do it again at Mania this next year?
He will. And I guess it's going to be against John Cena. But before we get in another topic, we dang near got to come to a close. We already did an hour for the people.
It's been an hour already.
It's been an hour. We didn't talk for a minute. It went by quick. You got any closing words for the people?
Please stop being internet detectives. That shit just weird, dog. Cut that out. Go touch some grass. Go outside. Internet detectives are just weird, dog. And it's like, because one of my favorite wrestlers had to shut down her Twitter because we're like, these internet detectives just want to make things weird, dog. Like, y'all gotta stop it. Stop it. Go get some help. You got too much time on your hands.
And I'm gonna make mine quickly and just say, the new year is approaching. Write down some goals, some dreams that you're trying to accomplish. Work on them every single day as we get to that new year. This is the People's Podcast presented by the Wrestling Republic. Check out the Wrestling Republic social media and website. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.